I'm going down to the library, picking out a book, check it in, check it out. Gonna say hi to the dictionary, picking out a book, check it in, check it out.
So, hello, Lori Helke.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Hi, I am
Yep.
here with Lori Helke. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. So this is really fun for me because most of the people I've interviewed or sat down and had a conversation with, I knew in some capacity. And last week I talked with local author Lori Helke, and she said, "Hey, I have another author for you, local author Lori Helke." So welcome. I know nothing about you. This is our first time meeting.
Yep.
I'm so excited. So you're an author here in our community?
Yes, I live in Kiel.
Oh, okay.
Actually,
Great.
yes.
And what do you write?
So I do children's books.
Mm-hmm.
I only published 2 children's books so far.
Okay.
And I was inspired to do so. I'm a travel writer also.
Oh, okay.
So, I love to write and share my stories and stuff like that. So in 2017, I needed a place to write because my house is small. It was, I had no quiet place. So my husband, I suggested to him about renovating an old camper because I like to camp and it was kind of like a travel thing, So we found an old camper that was really in bad shape. I mean, we paid $450.
No
for
way.
It. Yes.
I've always dreamed of this.
Yeah, it's only 14 feet long. And we were lucky to find it because the canned ham shaped campers are really hard to find. So anyway, we bought it and just for the idea of it was going to sit in the backyard like a she shed.
Yeah.
But I like to camp, so then I could hook it up and go if I wanted to.
Sure.
So we found it, and 10 months later, a long 10 months after renovating, we finished it in July of 2018. And when it was finished, it turned out so cute. I just could picture a children's story based on the renovation.
Oh.
And then I could picture a whole series of children's books using Beatrice the camper as the character and going on camping adventures, kind of to promote travel and lessons for kids and things like that. I didn't really have a clear vision. So I sat down and I wrote the manuscript in that July. And I sat on it because I'd never done anything like that before.
So you're writing, like when you were writing travel stuff, that was like writing for a company or?
I have a blog, a travel blog.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, and I started that in 2016. So, I would just write about because I travel mostly solo. So I just started writing about that because I went on a trip to Paris in 2011. It kind of inspired me to inspire other women to get out and travel.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it just started everything for me. That trip started everything for me. So I wrote the manuscript in 2018, sat on it. I didn't know. I really didn't have a plan for it or anything. And then I talked to a friend of mine who's also an author from Elkhart Lake. And she said, "Lori, you have to go for it. Write a book."
Yeah.
Little did she know at that time that I had this manuscript done. She thought that she was pushing me towards a memoir about my trip to Paris, kind of, and how it changed my life.
Okay.
So I got home and I thought, okay, this memoir is going to be a huge undertaking. So I have this tiny little children's manuscript. So I started researching self-publishing. And I found an editor, I found an illustrator, and I just pushed. I did it all myself.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Where is your illustrator from?
She's from Florida.
Oh, okay. So then you kind of work together.
Yes, I
Okay.
found her on Upwork,
Mhm.
which is a great freelancing, site to connect with anybody that's techie and
Sure.
artsy. And so I found her through there, and her price was right because it's like, oh my gosh, I can't spend all this money to do this.
Yeah.
And I just dove right in, and
Yeah.
I published it. And then that was in February. By June, I had the first hardcover copy.
That's fast.
Yeah.
I know a couple of people in the, just being a librarian, having met a couple of children's illustrators and authors, and I feel like the process is, so I mean, that's amazing turnaround time.
Yeah, I did a lot of things wrong at the time. I ordered, I thought, oh my gosh, they're going to sell and I'll be able to market them. And I had website built and thought, oh, this is going to be no big deal. I ordered 2,000 books.
Oh my goodness.
Imagine what it was like.
I can imagine. Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with all these books?
Yeah. So what are you doing with all these books?
Well, I was working at the time, and I was working at the post office in Kiel, and I didn't have any time. My plan was to get out and just foot it, try to do markets and shows and all kinds of things, and selling on Amazon and my website. And I didn't have time to do it. So I just did what I could, and I muddled along for to early 2020. And then I had started working part-time, and I lost that job due to, a switch in contract. So I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? So I talked it over with my husband. We decided I was going to stay home. So I'm like, okay, now I'm going gangbusters.
Yeah.
I signed up for all these shows and things to get out. I had, events scheduled, school visits scheduled, and then COVID hit, and it was done. Everything got canceled for last year.
Yeah, sure.
So I was desperate. I had all these. So I was writing letters. I sent letters to campgrounds, and I sent like 100 letters off, Would you be willing to purchase some books? And no, I didn't hear anything, but I sent a letter to Marcus Lemonis, and he is the CEO of Camping World.
Okay.
And he also has a show on CNBC called The Prophet, where he goes in and he rescues small businesses. So I was like, okay, I know, my book I think would be perfect for Camping World, for kids, it's camping themed and everything else. And I didn't hear anything back. And then in May, this was in February, in May, I was out working with my husband and my phone rang. And here it was a message from him saying, Lori, this is Marcus Lemonis. I have your book in my hand. Can we discuss a deal? I was, because we had been watching The Prophet. That was like family viewing in our house. He was like this business guru. And to have him call, I nearly died.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, when you like almost worship somebody, or you see that, and when it's hard to remember that celebrities are also people. So like when you're hearing them, you feel like you're being visited by a ghost or something. Yeah.
I didn't believe it was him at first.
Yeah.
So we made a deal, and he said, well, how many books do you have? And at that time, I had like 1,440 left of my stock. And he said, I'll buy every one of them. So,
oh my God.
I was like, oh my goodness. So it ended up, fast forward to July then, and my book, I shoved 1,440 on pallets and shipped them off to Camping World distribution centers.
Oh.
And they are in Camping World and Gander RV now. And
Cool.
they're selling okay, you know, they're
Yeah.
selling okay. So yeah, that was a saving grace. And then
Yeah.
meanwhile, you know, I tried to find events to do, and I signed up for the farmers market in Elkhart Lake.
Mm-hmm.
So I was there, and that's how I met Lori.
Yeah.
So I did that like and it made connections. I made connections. So, you know, it's really, a lot of authors go print on demand, but I could see it from a business standpoint of saving money and getting all these books printed up.
Right.
So that, after that happened, I was like, okay, I have to write book 2. So then I wrote book 2 in June, and that came out. I published that in November.
Okay.
Same thing. Then I searched for my own printer, so I didn't have to go through a middleman, and that saved me because then I didn't have to buy such a huge quantity of books. So that's where I'm at. I released my second one in November, and I have it on Amazon. I have my website.
What's your website?
LoriHelke.com. That's
Okay.
my author website.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
What's your blog?
That's LoriLovesAdventure.com.
Okay.
So I
Fun.
kind of
love
got two
travel,
things
so-
going,
Yeah.
going, but they're kind of tied together.
Yeah.
You know.
So I'm excited about the book stuff. I really want to know, because you travel, I love traveling. Do you have a favorite? I mean, Paris, it sounds like because it was life-changing might be a favorite. Do you have any other favorites too?
In 2018, I went to Ireland for the first time.
Oh, okay.
And that was Ireland, and I didn't know what to expect. I guess I didn't expect it to affect me the way it did. I went with my cousin's wife, and we rented a car, and we drove all around Ireland.
Can I tell you something funny? My husband and I did that in 2015.
You did?
Right before coming here. I mean, we went kind of all over Europe, but we rented a car.
Yeah.
And so, you know, the middle of like this 11-hour flight, we're going to land in Dublin. I realized, and we rented a manual because I can drive a stick.
Yeah.
And it never dawned on me until we were about to land that I was going to have to drive with my left hand. And I just, like, my brain blew up. Like, am I going to be able to figure this out?
Yeah.
Not the driving on the other side of the road. That was already a little, you know, intimidating.
Yeah.
But driving with my non-dominant hand, when this side is muscle memory.
Yeah.
And shifting with this side, and it was nothing. But it, like landing in Dublin, big city, you're going through roundabouts on the wrong side of the road, driving with the wrong hand. It was an experience.
Yeah.
But once we got out of Dublin, oh my gosh, the most beautiful country.
Yes. Yeah.
It is stunning.
Yeah. It is really stunning.
Yeah.
I didn't have to, Renee drove the whole time.
Did you have a manual?
Yes.
Because they don't really have that many automatics, so it's pretty expensive.
Well, wait a minute. No, we did automatic.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
Oh my
I felt
gosh.
like a race car driver on the curves. You'd be like right next to these beautiful brick walls with vines.
Yeah.
My husband, you're way too close.
Yeah. Well, it worked out great because then I was the navigator.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
I had the GPS on my phone.
Sure.
And then but I was at the advantage because I could.
Right.
You know,
sightsee.
It was crazy.
Yeah. I just did a lot of stopping every time. So at first it was a lot of stopping, and then finally I was like, okay, I've seen a billion castles in the distance, and that I don't know what my obsession with like the stone walls and the green and the gray sky, but just those scenes. Ireland was beautiful.
Yeah, and you know, you see pictures, but until you actually are there and see it for yourself.
Yeah. I know. So charming too.
Yeah, it is beautiful. And I love to camp. And I camp myself.
Did you camp in Ireland?
No.
Oh, I was going to say, that sounds so fun.
No, it would be. It would be. One of my bucket list things would be to like camp in France and just go. If it'll ever happen, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, that's... But
You seem like the type who just, you set a goal and you dive in.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
such an awesome,
Yeah.
like that's how you end up having those experiences.
Yeah.
So.
And I was never that way, but
Mhm.
when I took that trip to Paris, I was by myself. I went on a tour,
Mhm.
and it was just so I put myself out there. I was with 40 people that I basically didn't know,
Mhm.
and I was just so excited and overwhelmed that something changed, and it made me think, if I can do something like this, so can, that person and that person. It's like
Totally empowering.
yeah, sure, it's scary as all heck, but once you go, every little step
Totally.
is,
I did some of that in my 20s, traveling alone, and probably made my parents nuts. But just a lot of like pushing my own comfort level, and I felt that it helped me overcome some severe social anxiety. People are always like, you have, and I think that some of those travel experiences were empowering because, like you said, when you don't know any of the people around you and you have to make the decisions, do the communicating, you're forced to do every step of like not just survival but thriving in that situation. And so it is totally empowering. I can't wait to teach my daughter to travel alone, which will probably make my husband crazy, but
Yeah. No, our daughter she just graduated from college.
Oh, really?
And so I kind of instilled that in her. I used to take her when she was young. We'd go to Chicago for the weekend for her birthday. Just to get away from the bubble, of being around a small town. And she loved it. And so like 3 years ago, her and two friends loaded up our 4Runner and she drove to Colorado.
Oh,
they
good for
took
her.
a week. Yeah, and so I like to think that it kind of rubbed off on her.
Yeah, good.
But yeah, I think it's important to open up a whole world to other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
that's what you think, you feel like your children's books are really kind of about that and that.
Kind of, yeah. My first book was about the renovation.
Okay.
And my second book I wrote as kind of like an acceptance, a kindness, inclusion. So in my second book, Beatrice, because she's different from other campers, so she goes camping and she gets bullied because she looks different than the other campers.
Because she got her extreme makeover in the first one.
Yeah, but it's tackling friendship and kindness. I think like the past year that it inspired me to write, to tackle those kind of issues subtly for kids, And like my next book, I'm already thinking about it because my second book was always going to be Beatrice Goes to Paris or does something like that. So I'll maybe
she's going to have to ride a boat, right?
Well,
how does Beatrice get to Paris?
Yeah, exactly.
Fun.
So, I don't know. I'm in the process of starting the third one, but I may try to go traditionally published, if I can query agents and stuff. We'll see. We'll see.
Oh, well, good luck with that. That's fun. You'll be at the farmers markets in
Elkhart? Yeah, I am going to be doing 3 farmers markets this year because I'm doing a lot of traveling and camping also this summer. So, yeah, and I have the dates on my website. And so that's mainly what I'll be doing. And if other stuff pops up, I love to promote my books. I actually started what I call my Little Free Library Initiative, where I'm going to start donating books to little free libraries that I come across on my travels.
Yeah.
And like take donations, and I can have people put a donation where they can sponsor one of my books.
Cool.
And I'll put one in a library, take a picture,
Fun.
So I started that actually Sunday. I went to Milwaukee and I put a couple in some libraries.
Cool. That's such a good idea. Get it out
it's
there.
a way to give back
Yeah.
and get Beatrice out
Well,
there.
and that's the thing. Then it's circulating. I mean, I'm a librarian, so
Yes.
I believe in books in circulation, books
Yeah.
moving, and
Yeah.
not just sitting on a shelf. So
Yeah.
cool. I always ask how people end up in this area. So Kiel, born and raised.
Born and raised.
Really?
Yes.
I kind of could tell by your accent.
Yeah.
Very Wisconsin. I love it. I'm so Wisconsin too. I've lived in other places, and that's when I become acutely aware of my accent. When other people, holy cow, how I say quote.
Yes, I come across that in my I was just down in Gulf Shores, Alabama, and in Mississippi, in March, and
they knew exactly where you were from.
Yes,
always.
It's weird.
I know. It's like they know Wisconsin, or they'll even say maybe Canada. I'm from northern Wisconsin, and so I've had. Yeah. I think there's also something about the clothes that you wear. So I've traveled into the southern states during the winter, and I've left here at 30 below and arrived there at 60 degrees. And so, of course, I'm in a tank top. I mean, it's like 100-degree temperature swing. And then they'll say, you must be from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. Yeah, I just had that happen because I did a taping of the show Restaurant Impossible.
Okay.
I didn't know if you...
It's where they make over the restaurants where they're struggling. And
So Robert Irvine, I'm part of a Twitter group on Thursday nights when the show airs, and he just was doing 2 restaurants in Milwaukee last week. And so he invited me to come behind the scenes and check it out.
Cool.
So it was funny because we get there and it was chilly out the first day. And everybody's all bundled up, they're from Florida and all over the place. And you're, well, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's practically summer.
Yeah.
That's fun. So food is another question I always ask, and you mentioned restaurants. I asked the question, if you could sit down with for a meal with anyone, past or present, who would it be? What would you be eating?
Oh my gosh.
I know, and intense. I'm so glad you did no research and I didn't tell you what I was going to ask.
Yeah, this is really hard because I want to say Marcus Lemonis, but I'm a huge U2 fan, so Bono.
Oh, that is such a fun one. I love that.
Yeah.
Beautiful Day is like my travel song.
Well, I've met him and he signed my arm, so I have it tattooed.
That is so fun. I mean, that's practically dinner.
Yeah.
No, so what would you eat?
What would I eat? Probably like scallops, or because I love scallops, shrimp, something like that.
Yeah.
Seafood.
It's a good one. A lot of times people go themed with the person.
Well,
And,
I would have to do an
even...
Irish theme thing.
I know, but then I loved Ireland, but maybe some of the food wasn't my favorite.
Yeah, it was heavy.
Yeah, right.
It was
heavy.
heavy.
I felt like I needed to work the farm all day to eat that. You know what I mean? Just be like a dense pie.
Yeah.
Just meat and potatoes shoved in a pie.
Exactly. I guess I could say, well, I'd have like an Irish whiskey or Guinness.
Perfect.
Something to drink would be easy to pick.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's fun. And then my final question, favorite book?
Oh, my favorite book. Oh, boy. Boy, that's really hard. If I had to pick one right now off the top of my head, I would say Ernest Hemingway. How can I not remember this? What's his one about? A movable feast.
Oh, okay. But I read, and now I'm embarrassed because I'm like, this is Hemingway, Old Man and the Sea.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what it is about that story, but I read it annually on my birthday for at least a decade, and now it's like every other year. It's 80 quick pages, and there's something that's so, I love Hemingway's style.
Yeah.
I think it's like quiet and subtle, and there's still, it's sparse in language, yet evokes so much.
He is distinctive in his writing. And it just, that documentary was just on about him.
Ooh.
It was fascinating. It was, I don't know, I think 3 parts or something. But yeah, I would say A Movable Feast just because it's about his time in Paris. And I'm fascinated with that era when all the artists, the 20s and 30s, when they were all in Paris, Picasso, and
That's cool. I love European culture where there's places that are so historic, so historic. I mean, have been there forever, and you think of the people who have haunted those halls and working together, all those creative minds. So I can see that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that's all the questions I had for you, unless there was anything you wanted to talk about that I missed.
I don't think so. Covered a lot of ground.
I know. I get really personal. I'm sorry.
That's no, that's good. And I could go on forever and ever.
I could too. These interviews started as being like, let's have a 12-minute, I'm going to ask them a few questions.
Yeah.
And they have absolutely turned to like 30 minutes of us just talking.
Really?
And then me having to say, oh, yep, it's time to wrap up.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I love talking to people and learning about them. And like I said, I knew this would be fun because I knew nothing, So I went into this one cold. It was great.
Cool.
So I thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And we'll see you at a farmer's market this summer.
Yes.
Hi, standing here in the mystery section, NHPL. Just want to talk to you about some book shots that James Patterson's writes. Mysteries, little tiny little books, about 150 pages, quick reads, really great. We have a couple of them here for you, Manhunt. So if you don't want to read the traditional big James Patterson book, which takes quite a few hours, you just grab a book shot. Quick read, very nice. Got a couple of them here. There's more in the system. Give us a call. We'll get them for you.
I'm going down to the library, picking out a book, check it in, check it out. Gonna say hi to the dictionary, picking out a book, check it in, check it out. I'm going down to the library.